All right, welcome back to Freedom Rocks. I'm your host, Max Kessler. Again, our guest is Christopher Eads, chairman of the Greater Rochester Libertarian Party and past chairman of the Libertarian Party of New York. Now, candidates need opposition. So, who is Warren Redlich running against?
Well, you know, everyone knows about Andrew Cuomo. There's really not much to say about him. Rick Lazio also has a long and somewhat checkered history. But let's look at some of the newer candidates in the race. Well, let's start with the Tea Party candidates, so-called. A petition was filed, and now keep in mind, in New York's crazy system of rejecting the petitions, you know, people could still get knocked off the ballot. Libertarian Party petition is pretty strong. But for instance, it was a Tea Party, like literally Tea Party, petition submitted by Steve Cohn. Now, unfortunately, well, first of all, there's like no evidence, right? You do a Google search, there's no evidence of any active campaign. There's just these petitions filed. And of course, Steve Cohn is a former member of the Democratic Party State Committee here in New York. You know, you do a Google search, you know, in the top hits, you'll find a picture of him, you know, with his arm around Andrew Cuomo, smiling. So, you know, clearly that's not a Tea Party candidate. It's just an attempt to deceive and confuse the voters. And then, of course, there's Carl Palladino, somewhat more well-known as a Tea Party candidate.
Supposed.
Supposed, yes. Well, Carl Palladino has a number of flaws, which have come to light during this election season. I mean, let's go down the list. First of all,
bear in mind it's only a half-hour show.
Yeah, okay, I'll try to be quick. You know, first of all, there's, you know, his, with the Ground Zero Mosque, you know, without going into the major points of contention over the Ground Zero Mosque, what Carl Palladino proposed doing was to use eminent domain to seize their private property and prevent them from building the mosque. Unfortunately, if you look at it from a Tea Party perspective, you know, private property is what it's all about. It's our money, it's our income, it's our private property, and that's why it's, you know, high levels of taxation are wrong. That's the core reason underlying the Tea Party, is that we have a right to keep our own private property. And so if you have a supposed Tea Party candidate who just goes around, you know, first solution off the top of his head is let's use the force of government to take their private property, then you have to wonder if he really gets it. Then, of course, there's the whole tiff with the Seneca Nation. You know, the Native Americans, they don't have to collect sales tax because they're their own sovereign nation. And that's a good thing. Sovereignty is a good thing. You know, we should have more state sovereignty, less federal government interfering, and, you know, they're their own nation, and, you know, there's good reasons for that. It used to be all their nation, so I'm not, you know, it's a little bit unseemly to go about kind of pushing them around. But the real issue is that, you know, cigarettes are taxed at like 400% when you consider combined federal and state taxes. Nothing should be taxed at 400%. So
what is it now? Approximately retail price approximately $10 a pack.
Yeah, more in New York City, because New York City has its own cigarette tax. So, I mean, it's like someone was taking a baseball bat and going around and whacking people over the head. And, you know, a few people managed to hide or something and avoid getting hit with a baseball bat. Now, does the rational person say they're not taking their fair share of whacks to the head? No. The rational person is like, we have to stop this guy going around hitting people with a baseball bat. And it's analogous in the same way. I mean, the 400% tax is frickin' like getting assaulted. You know, no one should have to pay
It's an assault on the wallet.
Yeah. So, I mean, for someone to say, oh, you're not paying your fair share of this 400% tax, it's just another clue that don't get it. You know,
and of course, what we're talking about is Palladino's plan to either require them to collect sales tax on reservations, or, and I heard him say this in person, he wanted to barricade all the roads leading to and from their reservations until they started paying taxes.
Right. Yeah, which is also rather forceful. You know, I mean, it's a little bit disturbing that the first. I mean, how would he barricade these? Obviously, the barricades are going to have, state police, men with guns, use of force. You try to get through the barricade, they're going to use force against you, and really, it's just using the government jackboot to keep people down. And it's like Palladino is fine with a government jackboot as long as it's on his foot, which is really. It shows that he's not understanding the principles. Not to mention all of his thousands of dollars he contributed to Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer.
Yeah. Now he likes to say that he contributed to Hillary Clinton in 2000 because she was running against Rick Lazio and he didn't like Rick Lazio, but that doesn't explain the $4,600 he gave to her presidential campaign. It doesn't explain the $1,000, or he said a while ago that he contributed $1,000 to Chuck Schumer after Schumer used the power of government to bring JetBlue into Rochester and Buffalo airports. But he doesn't explain the fact that he contributed $1,000, this supposed Tea Party candidate, contributed $1,000 to Chuck Schumer 5 days after Schumer announced his support for single-payer health care.
Right, which is, not really in the fiscal conservative good column. I mean, besides the fact that using the force of government to tell a business what to do, like flying to Buffalo, is also not really congruent with Tea Party principles. And the explanations for this, have been shifting. I know that his campaign manager, Mike Caputo, told me personally that he did this to educate, to buy access so that he could educate these people. And at what point did he think, especially 5 days after?
Maybe he was taking a hint from the public school system. You want to educate people, throw money around.
That could be, but I just, especially
again, not particularly suitable for a Tea Party candidate.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at what point did he think that Chuck Schumer and Hillary Clinton were going to be educated into being fiscal conservatives? And he also gave money to Sheldon Silver's, Assembly Campaign Committee, which Sheldon Silver is not going to be educated to be a fiscal conservative. He's like the poster child for everything.
Oh, and Schumer can?
Well, no, no. But I'm saying, these are not people that are going to suddenly discover their inner fiscal conservative. They're just not. But I guess Palladino gave you a different answer, right, with the JetBlue thing.
Well, that was the JetBlue thing. Yeah, his answer for Chuck Schumer was that he was rewarding Schumer for bringing JetBlue into Buffalo and Rochester.
Yeah, right, and supporting Hillary Clinton because of Rick Lazio. So we're getting two different explanations from Palladino himself and his campaign manager. So what's the real explanation? I mean, could the real explanation have something to do with all the Empire Zone tax breaks that Palladino got from the government? I mean, could there be a little bit of a quid pro quo? I mean, that
sure sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like the most reasonable explanation to me, because he has been a huge beneficiary of tax breaks, which, I'm not opposed to that. But I really would like the average common man to get tax breaks and not just like large corporations, owned by people that are already billionaires. And furthermore, if he gets...
Yeah, we're just about out of time with this segment. We'll be back after this short public service announcement break with Christopher Eads.
The Greater Rochester Libertarian Party would like to remind you that the use of a mechanical safety device is not a substitute for safe firearm handling practices.
Always keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. Always keep the firearm unloaded until you're ready to use it. And always keep your finger off the trigger until you're actually ready to fire.
Always following these basic safety rules will help ensure a fun and safe shooting experience.